And we're back with the engine on YouTube and WNTH Radio 88.1. Check out the last video on the first slate of games, Saturday games. Now we're going to be talking about the Sunday games, but before we talk about that, we got to talk about how the teams got there. So last week, the Texans played the Bills, and the Bills jumped out to a 16-point lead, but then the Texans come back in the second half, led by the playmaker Deshaun Watson, led to a 22-19 overtime victory. What were your guys' takeaways from this game?
I think the Bills are a little inexperienced right now.
Yep.
Josh Allen specifically. I love Doug McDermott.
Sean McDermott.
Sorry, Sean McDermott. I really think the Bills aren't going in a good direction, but it's really unfortunate that they choked this bad.
Yeah, it showed me Josh Allen is not poised, as Booger McFarland kept saying, the announcer in that game.
Dislike Booger McFarland.
He made a lot of bad decisions throughout that game, and without them, the Bills would have had that game. They're still clearly a defensive team, but they've done a great job. I think their GM's Billy Bean, something like that.
Right,
He's
Billy
done.
Bean.
Mm-hmm.
Great name.
Yeah, he's done a great job assembling this roster with speedsters like John Brown and Cole Beasley around Josh Allen, even though they don't have that big market team.
We've talked about this in the past, how the Bills have made all these subtle moves in the offseason that's been really good for them.
Do you think that this game will show players, maybe a little more star-studded players, they're this close to winning that playoff game, and they're this close to beating the Patriots who are on the decline? I want to come to Buffalo and help this team win. Do you think that?
Yes.
I definitely think it is for Buffalo.
This Bills team is on the rise. They're the future of the NFC or the AFC East.
Another reason why their GM did such a great job, because players have never really wanted to come to Buffalo, and they can get big name free agents, so they got lots of really good players, and look what this turned into.
The winner of this game, though, was the Houston Texans.
It was.
And they're coming into Kansas City, a place that they won 31-24 in Week 6. We were just talking about this during the break. We're assuming this is going to be a shootout between two not great defenses. The Chiefs have a really good secondary, but I'm going to contradict myself. Since the bye week, the Chiefs have had the third best defense in the NFL. They're allowing under 10 points a game, I want to say, something like that.
Steve Spagnuolo has been a complete game changer in the NFL, the Chiefs defensive coordinator. The way he blitzes and trusts that secondary, Tyrann Mathieu deserved his All-Pro vote. Juan Thornhill unfortunately tore his ACL, so he's not going to be there in this playoff run, but he was really solid all season. We'll see how they fill that in. That could be a gaping hole.
Yeah.
So, initial thoughts about this Texans-Chiefs game. My thoughts are that this is going to be a shootout. I think you guys agree with me, but
a little bit.
These are
a little bit. I wouldn't say.
These are two of the best playmakers in the NFL, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, also Lamar Jackson, but he's not in this game. So, when I think about this game, and I think about a hilarious statistic that I read yesterday, that Patrick Mahomes has never beaten a team that has a bottom 5 defense in the NFL. And he's only been starting for 2 years, but he's 0-5 against bottom 5 defenses. The Texans are the 28th best total defense in the NFL. Do you think that factors into this at all?
That's 5th worst, by the way.
No. I think you mentioned this to us yesterday, and I think it might just be him playing the Raiders, and the Chargers a bunch. So, and
he's beaten the Raiders and the Chargers.
He's lost to them multiple times too, which
true.
I think it definitely factors into that stat. But
there's no reason to think of anything about that.
There's no reason. That's just a coincidence.
That's actually crazy. I'm not going to lie. That is an unbelievable stat. But Patrick Mahomes is still going to go out there and light you up. I don't care how bad the defense
this whole Chiefs offense, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, a great offensive line, Mitchell Schwartz anchoring it. I mean, I really don't think it's actually going to be close, because also I don't think the Texans should have won that game. The Bills choked that game away. So my final score is probably somewhere near 34-17.
34-17.
I was thinking similar.
I don't dislike that pick. I think the key to victory for the Texans is they cannot go down early, because this team is not going to let up. Andy Reid is an experienced coach as opposed to Sean McDermott. Even though his defense isn't as talented, he won't let them get back into this game. Maybe they'll get back in garbage time a little bit, but the Chiefs can outscore any team in the NFL. Maybe not the Ravens, but they did beat the Ravens, so maybe they can, and that was a long time ago. So I'll give you a pick. I'll give you 28-24 Chiefs. I think this will be close. I don't think the Texans are going to go down as early in this game as they did against the Bills, but if they do, it's going to be a blowout.
I'm really big on this Chiefs team. I think that Chiefs-Texans game was too early in the season to really tell how these teams look now.
I totally agree.
The Texans have remained inconsistent throughout the year, while the Chiefs have established themselves as a powerhouse in the second half of the season. I would go Chiefs 38-20. I love Mahomes. I think he's going to have a great playoff game. It's an easy thing to say, but the way he plays, he's just so consistent and he's so dominant. This Texans defense, their secondary is pretty weak. You saw them drop a ton of picks and let Josh Allen play pretty well against them, at least in the first half.
Yeah, this Chiefs team is poised to make a run.
Mm-hmm.
I like this Chiefs team. Do you think that the Chiefs are the team to beat the Ravens in the AFC? I think I've been thinking about it a lot. I think that the
That's
Chiefs.
really hard.
It's really hard to say, even though the Chiefs beat the Ravens. That was a long time ago. They're obviously different teams now.
They didn't beat
They beat
the Ravens this year.
Yeah, they did. 14-2. So I think. Who did the Ravens lose to this year?
Give me 1
Browns?
second. It was
I'll
the
say
Browns
that.
and I think the Packers.
I'm talking about the Ravens. The Ravens
Sorry,
lost to the Chiefs.
the Browns and the Chiefs.
Yes, thank you. So
I swear the schedule is messed up.
okay, so this Chiefs team, I've been thinking for a while. This is the team that can beat the Ravens.
Oh, yeah,
This
for
is
sure.
a team that can go back and forth with them in a shootout no matter what. And they have a great secondary. They have an underrated defense. The Chiefs right now, and I picked preseason Packers-Chiefs Super Bowl, and we'll get to the Packers in a couple of minutes, but this Chiefs team is loaded with talent, and they can totally beat the Ravens. I think this is the team that could beat the Ravens.
Also, another part of this Chiefs-Texans game, the Chiefs have a very solid pass defense and not a very good run defense, quite below average.
Yeah,
And the Texans have, besides Deshaun Watson, barely can run the ball usually.
yeah,
Carlos Hyde's been okay this year, actually.
it's decent.
Yeah,
But I think they're
at
going to be
times.
passing the game pretty much the whole time. And I don't know how much they can really do to this Chiefs secondary. With the Chiefs offense, though, the Texans secondary is their weakness. And I think they're just going to be able to throw the ball all over them. No one's going to be able to guard Travis Kelce. No one's going to be able to guard Tyreek Hill. J.J. Watson, which is a big difference.
Yeah.
But I still think being an elite interior defensive lineman is nowhere near as important as being an elite quarterback.
This game is basically Deshaun Watson versus Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, the whole Chiefs offensive
DeAndre
line.
Hopkins. Give Deshaun Watson DeAndre Hopkins at least.
Maybe. I don't.
DeAndre Hopkins had a big game against the Bills.
Okay.
And the Bills have a great defense, top
But
3 out.
I think the reason I don't know. I'm very confident in the Chiefs. They have way more talent than the Texans, and they've proved it in the second half of the year, much more consistently than the Texans have.
Also, I think DeAndre Hopkins he had 6 receptions for 90 yards. He was very quiet at the beginning, though.
Would you say that Mahomes has something to prove now? The Patriots are out. He doesn't have to worry about playing Belichick, who I would say embarrassed him last year. It wasn't a blowout, but you look statistically at that game, it was 500 yards to 200 yards. The Chiefs were dominated in the stat sheet. Do you think Mahomes is playing with a chip on his shoulder, similar to Lamar Jackson, who's definitely playing with a chip on his shoulder?
Absolutely. They need to erase the narrative. Not even really a narrative, but this Chiefs team is legit, and they can do it right now.
And for their defense too. Their defense has been destroyed by everyone going into the year. Patrick Mahomes is carrying this team, but they've really put it on the last few weeks. So
Andy
That's-
Reid is a Super Bowl deserving coach.
I was just thinking, Andy Reid is that coach. He's the Larry Fitzgerald of coaches. You just want to see him win a Super Bowl. Like I think of players that deserve Super Bowls, and I think of teams like the Bills, who wide right. That team deserved a Super Bowl. Andy Reid, who lost to the Patriots, they deserve Super Bowl. Andy Reid has been trying for so long. His time definitely isn't running out. Patrick Mahomes is just hit his stride.
And it looks like Patrick Mahomes is on pace to get a 5-year, $200 million deal coming up soon.
Isn't that the biggest? That's going to be the biggest.
Yeah, he's going to break the
quarterback
record.
history.
He's going to shatter it.
Yeah,
by far.
I don't know. So can we get a score prediction? What'd you guys say?
I think I had 38-20.
38-20.
Yeah, I had 34-17.
All right, I'm saying 28-24. Moving on to the next game, the final game, Sunday, 5:40 p.m. at Lambeau. Seahawks at Packers. Seahawks come into this game after pretty hand beating the Eagles. It wasn't really fair. Carson Wentz was out for the duration of that game. Josh McCown tried his best. See, here's my thing with the Seahawks team. The Eagles probably win that game with Carson Wentz. I think the Eagles probably...
the Seahawks did not look
The
good.
Seahawks did not
Yeah.
look good at all. The Eagles had so many chances that I was thinking if they had Carson Wentz, they would have scored on those opportunities.
Yeah.
So coming
agree.
into this game, the Seahawks are, I believe, 29th total defense in the NFL, something around there. Their offense, in total offense, is 28th, something like that.
Yeah, and
they're in the playoffs.
And they're in the
It
playoffs.
shows Pete Carroll's wonders as a head
And
coach.
Russell Wilson has
Yeah.
been carrying them with barely any talent. Tyler Lockett is pretty much gone. It's been all DK Metcalf. They had to
Well, if you look at the Eagles secondary, the DK Metcalf huge game shouldn't come as too much of a
the
surprise.
Eagles secondary is
Because this year,
abysmal.
to outside receivers, Tyler Lockett plays in the slot. To outside receivers, I believe the Eagles secondary has been giving up about 100 yards a game.
Exactly. This Eagles secondary has been abysmal this year, and the Seahawks are coming in with one defensive star, which is Jadeveon Clowney.
Bobby Wagner is
Bobby
their
Wagner
defensive
too.
star.
Jadeveon Clowney,
For
Bobby
sure.
Wagner coming in. This Packers defense has been completely changed. I believe they're top 15. If we
They're-
get a stat check on that,
yeah.
I think they're top 15, maybe under that a little bit. Packers defense, top 10 red zone defense, and they're the second top 5 red zone offense. They score on, I believe, 67% or touchdowns in the red zone. This Packers team has been underrated the entire year.
Well, I don't know about that. They've been under the radar
been under the
for going
ra-
13-3,
For going
but still their
13-3.
wins are not that impressive.
Because
Their
they
wins are
haven't played
completely. Their
anyone.
wins are completely impressive. 8-1 against teams with positive
Well,
records.
that's not what we're here to talk about. But I think in terms of them playing with their defense, they could not stop the run all year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they had problems all year stopping the run, and the Seahawks have lost their run game completely.
Marshawn Lynch is not who he was.
Yeah,
He's
Chris
co-
Carson's gone.
But you look at
Rashad
it. Look
Penny's
at it
gone.
specifically. Look at it specifically. The Packers don't have trouble stopping big, bulkier back saves. Trouble stopping the Miles Sanders backs, the Saquon
Yeah,
Barkley backs.
I'm supporting the Packers here. I'm
Yeah.
saying that the Packers will crush the Seahawks because the Seahawks can't work without a run game.
The
and that's
Seahawks
the Packers'
have no
biggest
run game.
weakness. Yeah, they
and you
literally
look at,
have none.
and
And that's what they relied on earlier.
Here's a little 30-second rant. I love Aaron Jones. Okay, that should come to no surprise to anybody. He had the most touchdowns in the NFL and had 1,000 yards running and didn't get a single All-Pro vote. That's
You don't get a single All-Pro vote when you're going against Christian McCaffrey.
he had more touchdowns than Christian McCaffrey.
Christian
And he beat
McCaffrey
Christian
had
McCaffrey
1,000
that.
more yards.
Okay, you should get at
Christian
least one.
McCaffrey
Are you
had-
telling me that Packers versus Panthers is Aaron Jones versus Christian McCaffrey?
I mean, Christian McCaffrey had one touchdown a
You
game.
could also
Aaron
say
Jones
it's
had
Aaron.
3.
You could say it's Aaron Rodgers versus Kyle Allen if you're going there.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but dominated the stat sheet. Here we're coming into we're coming into this game. We've got a rematch of the 2016 AFC Championship game, a game that I will never rewatch.
By the way, the Seahawks came
I don't wanna talk
down
about
from, I believe, 16 points.
13
The
points.
fake field goal touchdown.
Yeah, and I believe Brandon Bostic was his name.
Yeah, I know Brandon
He
Bostic.
dropped an onside kick off
Yep.
his face. Seahawks got the ball. Russell Wilson led an incredible comeback to a Jermaine Kearse at the game or catch at the end
Yeah.
to win it.
Do you enjoy breaking me down?
I do, sincerely.
Right. So, so Aaron Rodgers clearly has that in the back of his mind. This Packers team is much improved. And the thing with this Packers team is they have a lot of win conditions, and the Seahawks have one win condition. They need Russell
What's
Wilson.
a win condition?
Win condition is they need to play this way to win. The Packers can run the ball, they can throw the ball.
Yeah,
The
I agree
Seahawks
with
can
that.
throw the ball, and they can hand it to Marshawn Lynch. And they really,
They can't hand it to
they
Marshawn Lynch.
really can't hand it to Marshawn Lynch.
He doesn't even play after that.
Tyler Lockett is going to be guarded by one of the most underrated corners, young corners in the NFL, Jair Alexander in the slot. And Adrian Amos and Kevin King,
Yeah.
are going to be double teaming DK Metcalf for the majority
And
of
then
the game.
the Smith brothers.
The
They're
Smith
not actually
brothers.
brothers. but
Also, Preston Smith and
they're
Zadarius
beginning
Smith.
off.
They're going against an injury-riddled Seattle offensive line.
Also, it wasn't a very good offensive line,
As
even
always.
without the injuries.
Yeah.
And Dwayne Brown, their best offensive lineman, probably just is out for the playoffs, which is a big deal.
You're getting me excited right now, but I have an envision in my mind that Russ Wilson's going to be running around in the pocket a lot this game. Zadarius Smith coming up the middle, coming around the side. Only team in the NFL with 2 top 10 players with sacks. Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith.
Great pickups.
Great pickups. This Packers defense, this is, in my opinion, nobody's trusted the Packers all year, except CBS Sports for some reason, but nobody has trusted
They
the
have
Packers.
had them
I don't-
on two all year.
Yeah, that is
Not,
funny.
not what we're talking about. Nobody's trusted this Packers team the whole year. Not a great, reliable source. Colin Cowherd has talked about how he doesn't trust the Packers the entire year. How Aaron Rodgers is done. How he said the Seahawks can come
If
into
Colin Cowherd says you shouldn't trust them, that means you should.
you should definitely trust.
That's probably true.
I'm not giving you a guaranteed victory in this game, but if you look on it just based on roster, on paper alone, the Packers should realistically dominate the Seahawks in
I
this
think
game.
the only reason not to give a
Russell
guarantee is
Wilson.
simply Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I have the Packers 24-7. as the score.
24-7.
Yeah.
Here's why.
I would
Wow.
totally agree with that.
By the way, I don't think the Packers are that good.
Okay.
But I'm giving Seattle
Yeah.
7 points because of Russell Wilson.
Yes. Okay.
So to be nice,
Is it a garbage
Seattle
time?
is not a good team. They barely beat the Eagles, who scratched a above 500, or were they 500?
9-7.
No, scratched an above 500 record in the NFC East, which is not impressive.
The Seahawks this
And-
year. Here's something to pay attention to. Former backup for Aaron Rodgers, Brett Hundley, comes into a game where the Cardinals are losing in Seattle in the fourth quarter, down 2 touchdowns. And the Cardinals come back and win that game, and that is the reason the Seahawks don't have the 1 seed right
Yeah.
now.
Okay, so what you're saying about not trusting the Packers, I don't trust the Packers. I think the Seahawks suck. That's the reason I'm picking the
I
Packers.
agree.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll take what I can get. I think Aaron Jones is going to have a big game. Aaron Jones will have a big part of this.
Also, Seattle's secondary is horrible. Aaron Rodgers, Marquise Valdez-Scantling is going to be going deep on every single play.
Devontae.
Adams.
Who's guarding Devontae Adams?
They have
Shaquille Griffin,
they have
maybe. I don't know.
they have no pass rush either. Everyone talks about Jadeveon Clowney.
You can
He's
double him.
awful against the pass rush. He's a run stopper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Michigan knows that well.
Okay.
And you think about it this way: the Packers. Here's my key to victory for the Packers. Everything that we just said, whatever. Time of possession is going to eviscerate the Seahawks in this game. The Packers are going to be on offense a lot longer than the Seahawks are going to be. And when you talk about a run stoppers get tired with these long 6-minute, 7-minute, 10, 12 play drives that the Packers love running. Short 5-yard runs with Aaron Jones. Short 5-yard passes to the sideline, Al Nazar and Marquise Valdez-Scantling, Devontae Adams. The Packers can dominate in the trenches in ways that the Seahawks just can't dominate through the trenches.
And I think the Seahawks are tired too. They're tired of their team is just destroyed and injured. So I think Packers having a bye is a huge advantage too. I think it's pretty obvious to me at Packers. I would go a score similar to Nick. Maybe they put up 10 or 14.
Yeah.
And then the Packers, they just score enough to win.
I compare the Seahawks, Russell Wilson, to how we were talking about how Julian Edelman this season was physically falling apart because of how much workload he has. How fatigued is Russell Wilson? Like, he seems to enjoy it almost.
Yeah, he does. He's a
seems
football
to enjoy
player.
it. He's a football guy. And, I love hearing him say all glory goes to God, but it has to be something with
Yeah.
God because I have no idea where he's getting the energy from.
I mean, Russell Wilson, he is good, but he's not. Without his running game, he really isn't the same. I think that
They
just
need
makes
Chris
me
Carson.
even more confident about the Packers winning.
Sorry to all our viewers about us picking the higher seed in every single game, but when you look at all these games, the 49ers have been a better team all year than the Vikings. The Ravens have been better than the Titans. That was in our last episode.
Yeah.
And then the Chiefs have been better than the Texans, besides in that one game earlier.
Yeah.
And the Packers right now are a better team than the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even though it might be a little boring, there's a reason they're the higher seed. They're playing at home. I think this playoff season we're gonna see just dominant teams. I can't pick a huge upset because some of these upset teams aren't so explosive.
I mean, they're pretty good upset teams, I think, but also the wild card. All of these wild card games were stressful
Very
and
stressful.
tiring for these teams. So I think the bye is a huge advantage in this certain
I could
situation.
totally see, and I talk about this sometimes, where a team will play their biggest game of the season, but it's not the last game of the season, and they come into the next week and they just don't have that much energy. Like, here's an example. Wisconsin the other day beat Ohio State. That was the biggest game of their season, and then they lost to Illinois.
In basketball, by the way.
basketball at home.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's a little early to say that.
it's a little early to say that, but that is the biggest game of their season. They beat number 5. So the Vikings win the biggest game of their season. Kirk Cousins silences his doubters. He's all hyped up, and the 49ers are just sitting there. Okay, we're ready. We have so much time. We are ready to play the Vikings. We thought we were going to be playing a better team than the Vikings.
Yeah.
Now we're playing Kirk Cousins. We're going to come after you. I picked it to be close. I could totally see this game getting ugly early.
Kyle Shanahan wants revenge. I think he wants revenge in the playoffs. He wants a Super Bowl after that
I think-
Falcons loss to the Patriots.
All these coaches, though.
It's the same thing with the Titans.
But
the Titans beating
Kyle
the Patriots.
Shanahan, that was a historic
But
joke.
Falk.
Yeah.
The Titans beating the Patriots at home, that was the biggest game, honestly, arguably, maybe besides the Music City Miracle and the Super Bowl in 2000 against the Rams, one of the biggest games in the Titans' history.
It's true. It really is.
It's a huge game in their history. Same with the Texans' emotional comeback victory against the Bills. All 3 of these games could be blowouts.
Okay, well let me ask you guys one more question. Who do you what team is what lower seed is the most likely to win?
I'd say Titans.
I think I'd agree with you.
I would say the Vikings because I don't know how the 49ers are going to look.
Yeah,
And we
I guess
know the Ravens
The
are so
Ravens
explosive.
have been more dominant,
Mhm.
so unquestionably.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Check out on YouTube. The videos will be posted later today. Had a good time talking about Friday football. Have a good time watching the games this weekend.
Yeah, let's just hope this divisional round is as great as the wild card round.
Yeah, definitely. Have a good weekend and, go Packers.
Yeah, thank you from
Thank
the
you.
Edge.
Like and subscribe.